Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of 48 volt systems, 24 volt, and a 12 volt system in an RV. So if you have a 48 volt battery bank structure, then you have a good pro of that you don't need as big of cables going to it because the 48 volt systems can push more amps through a smaller cable because of the higher voltage. So one of the cons of a 48 volt system is devices. So pretty much everything in an RV runs on 12 volt. This means you have to get converters to step your voltage down from 48 volts down to 12 volts, and that can be costly because you're going to need quite a bit of them to run different devices in your RV. There's also challenges with charging the 48 volt system because there's not that many items in the world that are designed for 48 volt. It's going to cost you a lot more money to get charging devices to recharge these batteries. So that's a pretty big con on its own. Generally, 48 volt, in my opinion, because they have such limited capabilities of parts available for them, I would steer away from a 48 volt system. Now, 48 volt and a 24 volt system, the one big plus is you can run larger converters or inverters off of them. So because you can run a larger inverter, your wires aren't going to get as hot, and you can run basically a bigger inverter off the 24 volt and the 48 volt. So let's talk about 24 volt real quick. 24 volt has a couple of similarities of the 48 volt, as in you need converters to convert the power down from a 24 volt to a 12 volt to run certain devices in your RV because most everything in an RV runs 12 volt. So that's a cost on its own. Uh, One benefit of 24 volt is, for one, you can run larger inverters off of it, so you can get a lot more power drawing off of it, basically. And because it's a 24 volt system, there is a lot more available for it. So you can run these systems in series. The costs are a lot lower. But again, one of the cons of a 24 volt system is, complexity. You're going to add a little more complexity to your system. So, say you're running two 12 volt batteries in series to get a 24 volt battery structure, you're going to need to match those batteries. And because they're matching batteries, you can't replace one of the batteries with a new one and have an old and a used one in series because your batteries will not match anymore. So that's one of the biggest cons of these 48 volts and 24 volt systems is it's harder to upgrade later on if you needed a need for an upgrade. So let's go to 12 volt. And 12 volt is my favorite because you don't need converters to convert it because you're already at 12 volt. Uh, the con of it is you do need larger wires to run an inverter off of a 12 volt battery. So that's one of the cons. And another con is you're kind of limited to the amount of inverter you can run off of a 12 volt battery structure. I would say 2000 watts is probably the upper limit of an inverter to run on a 12 volt system. You might be able to get away with more, but in my opinion, 1200 watts is a great number for running off of those systems. Like I said before, parts and availability, 12 volt battery structures, everything's 12 volts. So you can run a lot of things off of a 12 volt battery. And you can run these in parallel. And the reason why that is a huge benefit, I mean huge, is say you have a 300 amp hour battery or 280 amp hour battery. And later on, you go, oh, I need a little more power on my system. So a year later or 2 years later, you can just add another battery in parallel to that battery. And one's used, one's new. You can run two 280 amp hour batteries, and they're going to work just fine together because they're going to peak out at the voltage that they can fill up to. So batteries with a 12 volt system, it's just great that you can add, a new battery when you need to. And you can even add another one, say you had two 280 amp hour batteries and you want to add another one. You can add another one to it. It's not an issue because you're running these in parallel and it's keeping the system at a 12 volt structure. So it's easy to get power from them and to recharge them. And another convenience is recharging. So there's My favorite is the Victron IP22 charger. It's a 30 amp charger, so that means it puts 30 amp hours of power back in a battery, and you can run two of those. So you could probably run three. I'm not sure on that, but you can definitely run two, which is great for recharging rates. So, like I said, for convenience and recharging, and to be able to upgrade your batteries, in your system at a later on point, the 12-volt system has a lot of pluses. Uh, the biggest downfall is that you are kind of limited on the amount of inverter you can plug into a 12-volt structure. Now, you probably could get away with, a 2500 watt inverter, but I wouldn't recommend anything above 2000 watts on a 12-volt system. That's my opinion on it, just because of safety and, trying to keep those wires from getting too hot. So that's my opinions on these systems. There's 24, 48, and 12, and my opinion is stay with 12-volt, because in an RV you can run a lot of stuff. Like I said, I got a 1200 watt inverter, and I can run everything from the all my cooking devices, my pot for boiling water, a skillet to grill stuff up, and I even have a window unit air conditioner that runs off of it. And that window unit, it peaks out about 800, 850 watts of power, and then it calms down once the RV starts getting cool. So 12 volt has a lot of opportunities, and the biggest one is you can upgrade your batteries at any point. So that's a win-win to me. So that's it. And again, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, because you all make it happen.